Jim Patterson, the former mayor, I'm like, I'm just here in my office right now. I just got done with the show. I mean, got done with my reporting.
You're still pretty famous. I mean, we love seeing you in the mornings there. So, first off, I mean, so this is kind of a cool thing. I mean, you are local. You're a local girl, grew up and went to local schools. Tell us about that and where you went.
So I grew up in Clovis, out in the country. I got some roots in the country. My dad grew up on the west side farming. And so he always told us, you never know a hard day's work until you farm on the west side. So that is kind of his roots. And both my parents are deaf, which is interesting. A lot of people don't always know that. So I'm fluent in American Sign Language. So hello, how are you doing? So my Spanish is a CSE, like just poquito, but I went to Clovis, all the Clovis schools, Clovis High School. And afterward, I decided I'm going to go to the beach to go to school because that would be a great idea. And so I ended up going to San Diego State and I was really involved in there. And just like in high school, just, this whole group of kids. I mean, we get raised in the Valley with a lot of people that are dedicated to hard work. And so I went to San Diego State and did a lot of stuff in the sorority for the student government. And then I got my first job in television in Montana, and this place called Billings, Montana. So I go in the summer, it's like 80 degrees. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then the winter hit in October. And then all of a sudden I was like, what happened? And, but it was a beautiful place. I learned a lot and it was always fun because they would say oh, you're from California. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm from Fresno. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, we have all the fruits and the nuts. And they were just like, oh, okay. So you're not like them other Californians, you're a little different. I'm like, yes, I'm very different. So I was glad to have the ag roots, that there's so many great people here. And, I wanted to come back to the Valley to be near my family and start my little family. And so I'm lucky because grandma and grandpa are the best babysitters in the world. And my kids love it too. With that
said, you did bring a little bit of Montana home with you back to home here though, right? I mean, you found yourself, I believe he was a trooper, right?
Yes. My husband is an officer and he works here in the Valley now. So
yep, that's awesome. And I joke because I'm probably one of the few people on here that's actually been where Amanda got married at Red Lodge, right next to Billings. I've actually been there before. It's just incredibly beautiful area. So definitely got to see some cool territory when up in Montana there.
I know. I love Montana. It was such a beautiful place. And we go there, we go hiking there. And I just love seeing the wildlife, the animals, and not the tourists as much, but all the animals are fun.
Well, fantastic. And for those of you who don't see Amanda, she's on really early. So what time do you get to work? I'm sure that's a question you get all the time.
So since I've been working at home, I get a lot more sleep. I wake up at 2:50 in the morning now, but before I was up at 1:45, 2 in the morning, and I got to work by 3. So, and then we don't have makeup people. So, we do it all ourselves. But that's why when people say, how do you like working at home? I'm like, I love it because I sleep into almost 3. And then my coffee maker is right there. And, my son loves to call it my office. He goes, Mom, I like you working in your office. But he's made a few appearances on TV. So he wasn't supposed to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's the ages of your kids?
So Cambria is 2, my little miracle. She's a NICU baby and went to Valley Children. So she's 2. And then Jake is 4. And he told me he's growing up and he's going to be a really big boy. So I'm like, no, slow down.
Well, awesome. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today. Always love doing things with you. For those of you, I've known Amanda, gosh, as soon as she got back in the market here, it seems like she got a hold of me that first week. And so gotten to know her really well over the years. And so love everything she does over at ABC 30 there.
All right. Thanks. You guys have a great day. Thanks for all you do for the community.
Thanks, Amanda. Have a great one. Sure. And with that, one thing we love doing for this club is welcoming new members into it. And today, Miss Layla, you are introducing a new member.
I am. Well, some of you may know I have recently retired from the Fresno Clovis Convention and Visitors Bureau, a job that I loved every minute of. And I am doing some consulting still for the Bureau. And so Lisa Oliveira, who was our Vice President of Administration and Marketing, is now our interim CEO for the Fresno Clovis Convention and Visitors Bureau. And if I might, I just want to ring the bell once for retirement and another time for Lisa.
Well, great. Well, welcome. We are, she's on, I'm assuming, right? I can't see her on my screen here.
Yes, I am here. Hello.
Fantastic. Well, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
I am a Central Valley girl through and through. I grew up in Turlock on my family's goat dairy, so my weekends were a little different from girls my age. I have been milking goats for a while. I moved to Fresno about 7 years ago to attend Fresno State and got an internship my last semester at the CVB and have been here 5 years and absolutely love everything about hospitality and tourism. Layla has spoken so highly about this club, so I am very excited to be a part of it now.
Well, fantastic. Well, everybody, let's give her a round of applause for joining our great Rotary Club.
Thank you.
I am sure we'll see a ton more of you. So thank you so much for joining. Look forward to learning a lot more. And hopefully one day we'll actually see you in person.
Yes, hopefully.
And Layla, congrats on the retirement. We will definitely have to formally mark that celebration when we get back in person, but definitely appreciate all you've done with our club. And you're going to still continue along with us, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
And with that said, Mr. Darren Rose, you're going to introduce our speakers for the day.
I am. Thank you, Ryan. It is my distinct honor to introduce Assemblymember Jim Patterson and Susan Gladding. Jim really doesn't need any introduction. He is our assembly representative representing the 23rd Assembly District. He's the former mayor of Fresno. And specifically, he, after the tragic death of beloved Vice Principal Gavin Gladding back in September 2018, along with the Gladding family, he introduced what we call Gavin's Law, which is an attempt to reform California's hit and run penalties, which are severely lacking. Joining Jim Patterson today is Susan Gladding, Gavin's widow. She is the founder and president of the Gavin Gladding Foundation, which carries on Gavin's love of education and environmental stewardship by awarding scholarships and grants for higher education. She's also currently with Clearway Energy Group. And I also want to introduce or recognize Gavin's mother, Rita Gladding, who is joining us today, and Gabrielle Ruby, Gavin's sister. So Jim, over to you. Take it away.
Well, thank you, everybody. First of all, I just want to say how much I appreciate what Rotary Club has done, particularly with your effort over the years to eradicate polio across the world. Sharon and I, as many of you know, adopted our oldest son, BJ, from Vietnam. He was cared for by World Vision. And in the 1980s and early 90s, we had an opportunity to travel through a lot of the countries, particularly in Eastern and Western Africa, where polio was something that every mother and father feared for their child. Look what you have done. Look what you have done. Thank you. And on behalf of the millions, hundreds of millions across the globe, this is Rotary at its very best. And I just wanted to say thank you. The other thing I want to do is to say thank you to the Gladding family. I have never had the opportunity of knowing people who were more committed, who were more deeply concerned about justice, and who loved dear Gavin the way that they have. And together, they have been the impetus. They have been the leadership. I have merely been the voice and the tool. They have been the heart and the soul. And so we're gonna try again. One of the things that I appreciate being invited to do is to basically take a quick look back and then a look forward on Gavin's Law. I have to tell you that I sure wish this was a lot easier than what it really is. It is so self-evident that we have this gaping loophole in our DUI laws that essentially reward somebody for hitting, hurting, killing, perhaps under the influence of alcohol, leaving the scene, hiding the evidence, and eventually perhaps either being caught or turning themselves in. That's exactly what happened with Gavin. And as a result, the individual who did all of this, instead of staying at the scene, being a decent human being, attempting to help Gavin and calling in ambulances and medical assistance, decided to leave the scene, hide the evidence, sober up. And when our great law enforcement folks were just about to find him and catch him, he decided, well, maybe this is the time to sort of give myself up. As a result, this individual served what amounted to about a year for something that took the precious life of this husband, father, magnificent educator, and probably one of the most decent men we would ever have the opportunity to meet. And so we tried to close the loophole. And I will have to say that this has been one of the most challenging, rewarding, and disappointing adventures in my legislative life, because we got so close and yet we didn't get over the finish line. This has been something that has broken my heart. It's just something that I have often thought, what could I do better? How did we fail Gavin? And yet, this is the reality we have to deal with up in Sacramento, where there is a majority of politicians who apparently are more concerned with repeat criminals than they are with repeat victims. You would think that this would be a self-evident solution. Because of Susan's remarkable testimony and her persistence and the Gladding family's persistence, we did something that people told us couldn't be done. And in fact, I've been in the legislature now going on, I think I'm in my 8th, 9th year. I've got a couple more elections to run and then I'm termed out. But in the entire time I've been in the legislature, I haven't seen an enhancement to a criminal act passed by the California Assembly. And yet Gavin's law made it through that difficult test. It took a lot of work. We had to accept some amendments that it's not perfect, but it's a whole lot better than what it was before we took the effort. And Susan's testimony turned the tide. And I'll never forget when we were before the Assembly Public Safety Committee, chaired by an individual that had never approved an enhancement in the entire time he was chair, had a reckoning. It took a little bit of effort, a bit of an amendment. I wish we didn't have to take them, but I'll take 3/4 of a loaf than no loaf at all, right? Given California. And what took place? I mean, when I say this, it's almost as if I don't really believe that it actually happened, but the Gladding family and Susan and Sharon and I, we lived through all of this. We got it out of the Public Safety Committee. It went to the Appropriations Committee, the death knell of bills. And it got to the Assembly floor and we got 70 votes. What an encouragement. But this is a bicameral legislature. There is a Senate. We had to do it all over again through the Senate. And what happened? We got so close. We got so close. We fell one vote short of getting it out of the Senate Public Safety Committee. And I believe had we got it out of that committee with that one vote and gotten it to the floor, I think we would have seen the same kind of compassion, sympathy, and justice that needed to be done. And yet we missed it by one vote. And I never will forget the phone call that I made to Susan, talk to Rita and other family members. Do we want to do this again? We got so close. Are you up to it? It's going to take another year, maybe another 2 years. And I'll never forget. The response was, yes. Gavin deserved it. The Gladding family knew this was justice and knew that if they did this all over again, as painful as it might be, and if we were fortunate enough to make it happen, that maybe, just maybe, we would be creating a circumstance where individuals who were in the circumstance of that individual who killed Gavin might very well pause and stop and think. If I stay and be a human being and try to assist and take responsibility, I'll actually serve less time than if I run, leave, cover up the evidence trail. And we were able to get that one vote short. Well, that was yesterday. So what's today and tomorrow? I know that Susan and Rita and others in the family, you know that I was persistent in saying, I'll do it again. We'll run it again. We'll try it again. We're not going to give up. Are you willing to go through it all over again? And they said yes. So we've reintroduced Gavin's Law. We have some challenges facing us. New members have been elected. There will be different personalities on the floor and in the committees. But we have introduced the identical bill that received 70 votes. And we are presently communicating with and trying to work through the Public Safety Committee. And Reggie Jones Sawyer, the one who passed it through after some work and after trying to convince him, and successfully so, thanks to Susan, that this was justice. And so we're going to do it again. My expectation is, because the same players who helped us before are helping us now. And that's not just Republicans, it's Democrats too. I think that we have a good likelihood of getting it through the Assembly Public Safety. Lorena Gonzalez, who passed it through and was frankly a champion of it, who really understood that this was a, sort of a once in a lifetime opportunity to do justice, passed it through. And in fact, did so by insisting that not only the Republicans, who were going to be unanimous on it in appropriations, unanimously vote up on it, but she insisted that every single member of the Democrat majority on that committee voted up on it as well. So I think we are okay on the Assembly side, but we've got to do the work all over again, like we're 10 votes behind. Then we have a challenge on the Senate side. And if it goes to the Senate, I think it will. We hope it will. Steve Bradford, who was a member has now been elevated to the chair. The disappointing history of this is that Steve and I have been friends since he was on the Assembly side. We've worked together on a lot of things, and it just broke my heart because he was intending to vote for Gavin's law when it came to the Senate. And yet, because the existing chair of the Senate Public Safety Committee was opposed, he would not cross the threshold and vote what we thought was his heart and soul on this. It was very disappointing. I can tell you this, that I am pledged and will continue to use the friendship, the relationship, and the entree that is given to me by my friendship with Steve. And we're going to try to convince him that he didn't quite understand it last time. We're going to ask him to understand it anew and afresh. And we're going to try to make sure that he gives Susan, Rita, and the Gladding family the opportunity to be heard, not just listened to, but to be heard. So that's where we are. We're going to do it again. We think the assembly is going to be predictable. We're not sure where the Senate is going to be in all of this, but we're going to continue to try to work as hard as we possibly can. I really appreciate the chance to be with you, and I have to sign off now because I have to be on the assembly floor at 1 p.m. But Susan is here. I know that she wants to talk with you a little bit about the emotion, the heart and soul, and you're going to get a chance to hear her voice, her passion, her commitment, and her deep love for probably one of the most decent men we'll ever have the opportunity to know and to love, Gavin Gladding. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your support.
Thank you, Jim. Now, Susan, yeah, you're welcome to go ahead. If you want to just run with it, that would be fantastic.
Okay, great. Hi, can everybody hear me?
Can hear you great.
Okay, thank you, Jim, for that. And as always, appreciate all of your support and your help along the way. We could never be here today without you. So thank you very much. And really appreciate you all having us on today and allowing us to speak to you and just to give you kind of the background on the law and then our proposal for where we're hoping that this will go this year. So really appreciate this opportunity. Just wanted to give you just a quick overview of sort of where I fit in all of this. Clearly, Gavin was my husband, and the loss that we experienced was I can't even describe. But finding out very shortly after what had happened and what the current law was that was in place for this type of crime was really shocking. It was shocking to myself. It was shocking to my family, friends, and those that knew and loved Gavin, to know that the penalty for this type of crime where you hit and kill somebody and leave them on the side of the road had a maximum penalty of 4 years in prison, of which when I met with the DA, probably the week after we found out who it was, had indicated to me that it would likely end up being probation as the maximum penalty. It was absolutely shocking and appalling. And I knew, and my family knew at that point, that this was something that just we couldn't sit back and allow to continue to happen to families of victims. And so we're able to meet Jim Patterson, Assemblymember Patterson, and begin work on this bill. And we were told in the beginning that the likelihood of this type of enhancement, and what we were trying to do was to push the penalty from a 4-year maximum to something that was more in line with driving under the influence and hitting and killing somebody, because without increasing that penalty to match up with a DUI penalty where death has occurred, there was really no incentive at all for somebody to stay at the scene of the crime. They were more so incentivized to leave. And that just, it seemed like this perverse incentive that wasn't intended to be in the law, but that's what existed today. And so we were at a minimum trying to push to match that penalty so that people would be decent and stay and help in those situations. And but we knew that an enhancement in the state of California of a penalty, as Jim had mentioned earlier, is just something that has not occurred. And so we went into that first assembly hearing. My family and I were prepared that we would be given a no vote that day. And I think we all could go back and remember that day as being so overwhelming, because we went in and it all of a sudden the assembly heard our plea and heard what we were trying to say as more of a human issue. And it removed the partisan side of presenting a bill. And it really wasn't about Democrat or Republican in that room that day. It really was about a human issue and how do we solve a problem that would seem to be very apparent to everybody. And I think at that moment, we really regained this energy around the bill and really felt like we might actually succeed at the end of the day. And we made it all the way to the assembly floor, got the votes that we needed. And unfortunately, right about that time, I think if I'm remembering correctly, that's when COVID hit and we were seriously slowed down in the legislature, and the process through the Senate committee got delayed. And when we were able to go back before the Senate, I think it was probably a matter of momentum slowing down, and then just not being able to really present in the way that we would have liked. I think I was given maybe a minute to speak at that hearing, and so we just weren't given an opportunity, I think, to really present our case the way that we wanted to. And so unfortunately, we were not able to pass through that Senate committee, and the bill died at that committee in August. And so really hopeful that if we are able to bring this bill back around again, we're able to get through the assembly side again, that once we get to the Senate, we'll have a better opportunity to hopefully make our case and present this really as a human issue and not as a partisan issue, and be able to get this enhancement in the law so that other victims of this crime will feel like there is some sort of penalty that is going to fit the crime and is actually going to help hopefully deter this type of behavior in the future. I mean, ultimately, that is what we all want, is that this type of crime just doesn't continue to happen. So again, just really appreciate the opportunity to be able to let you guys know of our plan, to be able to, answer any questions that you might have. I think that there have been some questions from folks that I've been hearing around what is the actual existing law and what are we proposing to do. Would be happy to share that information with anybody if it's helpful. And just really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. So thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Something
Can I close just very quickly?
Absolutely.
We need all of your help. Not just those of you who are watching, but your entire network and group of association of people. We have wonderful support from crime victims, from our district attorneys, from a whole raft of people who understand that this is a huge loophole that we need to close in the interest of justice. The question is, how do we help? My office spearheads this. Alicia, my district director, all of you know her. She is working this. My chief of staff, Christina Nelson, many of you know her from up in Sacramento here. And we need all of the strength, all of the support, all of the encouragement from a wide variety of social interests, personal interests, professional interests, who think that this is an issue of justice. And if you will help, we'll have you as part of the legion of organizations and individuals who have supported and who will support again. I want to leave you with this. Our challenge is in the Senate. If you know your local senator, your regional senator, or if you know others who are in the Senate up and down the state, use your influence and your open door to advocate for Susan and for Rita and for the family on the Senate side. We have gotten some great support from the current lieutenant governor as well. So we have broad bipartisan support, but our challenge is the Senate. First things first, let's get it through the Assembly. Let's take it to the Senate, and we'll start to talk with you about the strategic and tactical efforts we need to do together to get this done for Gavin's sake. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate this.
Thank you,
so
Jim.
much.
Appreciate
Thank
you coming
Susan,
today.
for what you've been and the sweetness and the firmness that you've demonstrated. It means so much to Sharon and me.
Thank you.
I gotta go. They're calling me onto the floor. So we'll see all of you.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you, everybody.
Susan, if you wouldn't mind, maybe you don't need to go into explicit detail, but yeah, do talk about what's existing, what's an existing law and what this proposes to change. I know I've had a couple questions in regards to that.
Yeah, so the existing law, as it sits today, the maximum penalty for a hit and run that that leads to death is 4 years is the maximum. And like I said earlier today, it's extremely difficult to get that maximum penalty. The individual that hit and killed Gavin received a maximum of 3 years, and that was with the hit and run, with trying to fix the car, with being gone for 5 days. There were a number of additional things that led to that 3 years. So in receiving 4 years is but likely not to happen. And then he only served, I think it was 12, 13 months and was released. And so the enhancement that we're going for was initially for eight years is what we were proposing, because that's more in line with if you were driving under the influence and hit and killed somebody, that is the penalty that you could receive. And so we were trying to align that with a hit and run to incentivize people to stay, or to not provide them the incentive to leave, I guess is the better way to say it. And so once we got to the Assembly, we had proposed the 8 years. We had to go back and forth with them a bit, which Jim had explained. And we ended up agreeing to 6 years is what we were bringing forward under the bill. So it would increase the maximum penalty from 4 to 6 at this point. It's not what we had wanted. It doesn't completely close the loophole, but it was one of those concessions that we were having to make in order to at least get something moved forward. And maybe it's an incremental change that needs to happen, but that's the current proposal is 6 years, as that was what we were able to get through the Assembly.
No, thank you so much for explaining that. I had a message just to point out that Gavin was a Peace Corps volunteer, and we have several of our fellow Rotarians here that are former Peace Corps volunteers themselves. So just wanted to bring that up as a fact that's obviously very strong to those people that go through that. Or it's kind of a close family, and I know those folks stay in contact for many, many years. One thing I wanted you to talk about as well is if you could discuss your foundation, the foundation that's been set up in his honor, and what the purpose of that is beyond obviously just this law.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, Gavin was in the Peace Corps, just to backtrack real quick. And he spent 2 years in the Gambia. And it's just part of who he was. I mean, if some of you knew who he was just a remarkable person. And really, he was a giver and spent 2 years in the Gambia giving back. So, and the foundation, so we also set up a foundation shortly after Gavin passed. And it was really, we had received, I think it was close to 4,000 notes and letters from students. It was quite overwhelming after he passed away. And Gavin was an incredible educator. And I knew that just living in the same house with him, he would come home with letters and notes. We would see kids out at restaurants and at stores, and they were constantly coming up to him and talking to him. And you could see the excitement on their faces when they would see him. He had a real way about him and really connected with his students. And I myself and my whole family just felt that a large part of this tragedy was the kids and this loss of an amazing educator, and just really felt like, what could we continue to do in his name, that he was not here to be able to continue to provide educations to additionally thousands and thousands of kids over the next however many years of his career, what we could do. And so we started the Gavin Gladding Foundation, which is a nonprofit foundation that is set up to provide grants and scholarships for education. And Gavin was an educator at Clovis Unified School District, but he had started his educational career in outdoor and environmental education. And it was really important to him, that hands-on kind of outdoor education and environmental stewardship as well. And so the scholarships and grants are going to go towards more conventional type education, but also the less conventional type, which is, supporting kids going to river camp, for instance, where Gavin was director for a number of years. It also is going towards some other kind of non-conventional education. We actually, going back to the Peace Corps discussion, we decided that we would help support and fund education in the Gambia. We ended up teaming up with another nonprofit this year. It's called Gambia Rising, and they actually support kids, mostly young girls, who can't afford to buy books and backpacks and can't afford to actually get to school for a very nominal amount of money per day. We've been able to support, I think it's been 30 young girls to be able to go to school this year and then for the next few years. And so the foundation is giving back in a number of ways, both in more conventional and non-conventional educational arenas.
And that can be found, just for those folks that wanted to know, GavinGladdingFoundation.org. You can find more information on the foundation, as well as donate and learn more about it. If you don't mind for 1 second, I wanted to jump over. Rita, could you turn your microphone on real fast? Sorry, I should have given you a heads up just to prepare you, but we're happy to have you here today. And if you figure out how to get it unmuted, we're happy. Please let me know, and we're happy to have you say a couple words there. But thank you so much.
I think I'm on.
You are on. Awesome.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, can hear you great.
Okay. Thank you so much. there's all this fumbling that goes on, but then, you know, the old people finally sort of get it. My gratitude to this community and Jim for what's being done will be never ending, everlasting. Gavin was different. Gavin was a special kid. This is Gavin's little picture. You know, I still am the Italian mother. So I get to show you, this is University of Santa Barbara, where Gavin spent years getting his degree. As we watch this child grow and mature into the type of man that he was, it was so evident that he was engaged. He was engaging. You just don't meet Gavin and walk away and go, oh yeah, there's another guy. He was a very special man. The fact that Susan and my grandchildren have to continue without him is one of the most heartbreaking things that any of us will ever go through. The fact that we are back fighting this battle, I can't be happier. And again, support, we're going to need it. And Jim's going to tell us how to do it. We need to talk to everybody we know all over the state, because this is an all over the state thing. I think people in Fresno get it now. Obviously, how could you not? But I want to encourage each of you to please get involved in any way that you can. If you know anyone in Sacramento, or if you know in another county, another city, please reach out to them and ask if they would help us in this quest. We were so close. And we, like Susan said, we never believed we would get out of that public safety committee. And it's only because when she spoke, everybody stopped dead and started listening to what we were saying, that when we walked out of there with oh my gosh, we're going to get to come back, it was surreal. Anyway, again, many of you on the screen I know, and I thank you all for supporting us. Check out gavingladding.org. The Gambia Rising site is on there. You know, I'm a fundraiser at heart. There's a donate button on there. We didn't get to do our fundraisers this year. So, you know, we will help, we'll help you help us. So I thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Rita, so much. Thank you for joining our Rotary meeting today. Really appreciate it. Susan, any closing remarks?
Yeah, just really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I echo everything that Rita said. This really is, I feel like our local community is aware of this at this point. I think that they're aware of the need for the change, but it really is a state issue. So if you have friends and family, if you know of anybody in Sacramento that you can help to spread the word, I really think it needs to get out of the valley. It needs to go broader, because unfortunately this is not a crime that just happens here locally. It's happening up and down the state, and we've become much more aware of how often this happens. Since it's happened to us, you tend to hear more about it. So yeah, just to really appreciate the opportunity again, and yeah, and we'll go from here.
Thank you so much, Susan. Please, let's give her a virtual round of applause. You'll see lots of clapping on the screen. You don't hear it all because everybody's on mute, but really appreciate you guys taking time to let us understand better about this. I know this is something that Jim championed. I mean, you guys were in the media just a ton here locally, and we all got to, hear how close it did come, but to get to hear the specifics today was obviously very inspiring. And we're hoping that, wishing the best of luck as we go through this forward this next year, and hopefully get this thing wrapped up, because it's so appropriate to do so. So thank you for joining us once again. Anna, I'm going to move on to our Zoom poll question for the day. If you don't mind ending that and throwing it up on the screen. Unfortunately, my iPad doesn't allow me to do that. Oh, what is your favorite way to travel? Overwhelmingly airplanes. So not surprising there. And I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are on this call that just can't wait to get back in an airplane here, hopefully soon, as soon as we start to get this vaccine going. So thank you for doing that once again. Mr. Dick Harrington, you have a couple recognitions for us today.
Yes, thank you, President Ryan. Tara Kite Force, if you would unmute so we can chat a little bit.
Sarah got kicked off. If you could skip to Jeremy, she's just clicking on right now.
Okay, Jeremy Ward, you completed, if you would on-click, that would be great. You've completed your first year of Rotary, and I think you have some things you want to share about your family.
Well, thank you. First off, I was actually just on a couple of weeks ago sharing about an opportunity to get involved with Academic Decathlon. I thought I would start off by saying thank you to many of the members here. We did have several folks reach out to say they'd be willing to participate. And we again, just want to say thank you for your graciousness and you're willing to help out our kids in these interesting times. We actually have a couple of members that I'm involved with. This is my family, my wife, Jennifer, who's a first grade teacher in Fresno Unified. She teaches at Air Elementary, which is right by Sunnyside High School. And my oldest two sons, the oldest one with the brown curly hair, Trevor, and then Logan with the blonde. My daughter, Lizzie, and my son, Jackson. He's the youngest there. So my oldest two sons graduated from high school. My daughter, she's a junior, and my son is a freshman. My sons were involved. I was enjoying hearing the stories of Gavin as my oldest two sons were involved in service work in Guatemala and Brazil. As a matter of fact, they were gone for almost 2 years and they had a wonderful experience with that as well. And again, this is my beautiful wife, first grade teacher, Phenom, here locally in Fresno. We're a family deeply vested into education. My brother is a principal in Fresno Unified, my sister a teacher. My parents were both teachers. They passed away about a year ago this coming March. And it's kind of the family business. So I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity and thank you for sharing the stories of Gavin. Actually, I was enjoying hearing the stories about him and his love of working with kids.
Well, thank you very much, Jeremy. You certainly have a wonderful family, and it sounds like you're deeply involved as a family in education, which we all know how important that endeavor is. I don't know that you had a chance to ring the bell last time, and if you would let Ryan know if you would like to do that, appreciate it.
We'd love to ring the bell, so we would never, walk away from that opportunity. I think I'll just create awareness for one additional thing that's coming in Fresno through the Fresno Business Council. I think a few of our members are actually a part of that as well. And that is the big internship program that's coming through the city of Fresno. 500 interns, they're looking for young folks, the ages of 18 to 28, to be involved in local manufacturing, local business to create a stronger workforce here. And I would just encourage everyone where possible to get involved with that effort. Fresno Unified will be seeking to find internship opportunities for roughly 2,000 to 3,000 high school seniors in the upcoming years so that we can better train our kids for the workforce of tomorrow and better help our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that very much. Tara Kiteforth, are you on now? And if so, would you unmute? And
yes, I am. Sorry, I got booted off right as I was about to speak. Sorry about that.
Well, you've completed your first year of Rotary, and I think you have some things you want to share with us also, as Jeremy did.
I did. Thank you. First year of Rotary, but not new to Rotary. In fact, Dick actually knew my parents. My dad was a Rotarian as well as my grandfather. This is a picture. Oh, there's my parents, and that was their Rotary shirt with my son there. I
don't recognize them at all.
Yes, you do. Anyway, they were tickled to know that I had joined Rotary as well and was kind of following in those footsteps. And those are some fun pictures of my family. And then, we got married just last year. So had our first year of marriage in a quarantine. So we felt pretty proud of that. My son just graduated Fresno State, is in the master's program. Jaden, with the little flowers there, is at Granite Ridge. And then Caitlin to the far right just graduated from Clovis West. And we are all in distance learning in the same home. My husband teaches for Central. I work for Fresno Unified, and so everybody's, on the computer. So getting booted off is not uncommon. And sometimes you need to turn your camera off in order to sort of settle the Wi-Fi. So yeah, appreciate you guys having given us the chance to kind of share a little bit about ourselves, and for Jeremy to share about the internship program. So definitely enjoy being a part of Rotary. So thank you.
We certainly enjoy you being part of Rotary. We're really pleased that you joined us, and we look forward for many, many years of your participation in our Rotary projects and functions. Here again,
Absolutely.
if you would like to tell Ryan how much you would like to ring the bell for it, we appreciate that.
Oh yeah, of course. Let's ring it. So let's ring it twice. Once for the annual and once for the internship.
Well, thank you very much, Tara. Really appreciate it.
Perfect.
Ryan?
And Tara, I gotta say, those two dog, the dog picture you have with the two dogs, they seem very photogenic, or less. It must have took you forever to pose them, or else they are super photogenic dogs, because that is hilarious right there.
Thank you.
And no, thank you so much. And we appreciate always getting to know a little bit more about our Rotarians there. And next we can have, we have our UCP video. Mike Falgi. Is Mike still on? I know we have a video, so we'll play the video and go into what we did here. Oh, no sound, Anna. It might be on the share screen function. You have to click that little, there's a little share sound button.
California for the remodel work that they've done inside their kitchen. Roger?
Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate it. Sorry to shake your hand in this time frame, but we really appreciate it. This is great support. This is a project that we've done within the last 6-8 months, and if you can see, I know she's showing we've got a new stove here, we've got a new commercial dishwasher, all the cabinets were redone, all the countertops were redone in the kitchen area. New shelving we also put in as well. It was about a $16,000 to $17,000 project, but this $5,000 went a long way to make it happen. If you're not familiar with UCP, UCP is a program, United Cerebral Palsy of Central California. We've been around since 1954. We provide adult day services for persons with disability here. We also have a children's program in our Kings County area that we provide service for children. We impact about 1,100 people's lives every year, not only people with disabilities and their families. And this program here is an adult day program, and one of the things that this money goes towards, we do cooking classes and things throughout the year, and we get good use out of our kitchen and what we do. So we've been around just, with the support of Rotary and other places like the Rotary in Fresno, and we hope that we get through this COVID. Most of our students, if not all our students, have been at home for the last time frame. We do a lot of virtual services now, but this has gone a long way to keeping us going. So thank you very much on behalf of UCP Central California, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mike and Roger, for putting that video, pulling that together, and Anna for doing the editing on that. Really do appreciate it. And before I leave that subject, I'll just give a big shout out to my friend Cher, who is over there, who's on today. Cher and I used to show steers together way back when. And so she's the one that taught me everything I know about showing steers. So great to see her on here, as well as several other staff members from UCP. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. And with that, we have a raffle today. And I know that's what you guys are all hanging around for, is to find out who the winner of the big raffle today is, because it's one of our bigger ones. So we have 6 bottles of wine. Thank you for the generation of those that donated to it. We still need raffle prizes. So if you have anything else, we'd love to have you on there as well. But Anna, go ahead and pull the lucky participant today.
Okay, thank you everybody who got involved and bought tickets today. And the winner is Dave Gilmore. Congratulations, Dave.
Awesome. Congrats, Dave. That's one of our decent ones, 6 bottles there. So you'll have some, that should take you through the pandemic, right? At least through a good portion of it. So With that said, our next meeting is scheduled for next Monday. I have asked our former mayor for the city of Fresno, Mr. Lee Brand, to join us to talk about his reflections of his political career of 12 years, 8 on the city council and 4 years as our mayor. Kind of talked about the ins and out now that he's left office, and most of you on this know Lee personally, and so I thought it would be great to come hear him as he celebrates, retirement from the political side. So with that said, hope you all can join us next week at 12:15. Stay safe. Hope you all are doing well. We'll see you then. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.